Welcome to Potential Moveset, a mini-series I'll be doing until the game Jump Force releases. Now, in the previous crossover game J-Stars, the 45th anniversary game, both Medaka and Kuwamaga appeared as Medaka Box reps, and I personally believe, they will be returning and Kuwamaga will be playable. Now, why do I say this? Well, both Hisoka and Rukia got the same treatment. They were both previous support characters turned playable, and I have a feeling the Medaka Box will be getting the same exact thing. But the question remains, will they get more than two? Now, honestly, I think they're good with two. But there is a chance they might get a third one. It's just that whether that third one will be Zenkichi or Ajimu. I personally think Ajimu stands more of a chance. And you'll see why. So we're going to start off with Zenkichi. In order for us to figure out the movesets for both Zenkichi and Ajimu, we have to figure out their personality type in terms of what type of fighter they are. So Zenkichi, he's been shown to be determined, he's persistent, he's an overall supportive guy. So that could translate easily into a very balanced fighter with probable support attacks. Now it's time for us to head over to the Student Council office, and let's see what awaits us there. Now we'll be using the manga and the TV series simultaneously to figure out the movesets for both Ajimu and Zenkichi. We need these for sure. Of course, what's the first thing we know about Zenkichi? Well, his fighting style is based off a real fighting style in real life, is Savant, a French kickboxing. So what we're going to do is we're going to go over some potential combos he can do in his light and heavy attacks with Savant. Now we can't just go to any Savant fighter anywhere. We have to see what the Savant moves he uses throughout the manga and TV series. Now here we go. I like to point out that the picture on the left would be his Savant stance, and his barrel damage would most likely be the picture on the right, for sure. Now we'll be looking at his fight with Munakata and Medaka, and so we're going to go from left to right. I'm going to explain. Now he predominantly uses his right leg for most attacks, so that's most likely what we will be seeing in the game if it gets announced. So going from left to right, you got right kick, alternating target combo, meaning that you press it once and you hit it twice. It's going to be really fast. Then we get another right kick, then going for a left kick that launches the opponent, totaling for a total of 5 hits. Now this is most likely what you're going to see, no doubt. Now for his heavy attack, we'll be looking at his fight with Kumagawa. Now listen closely. 1 press, 4 hits. That's pressing triangle once. This is his heavy attack. So let's go follow through with what it might be. 1 press, 4 hits. Then another press, which is pressing triangle twice. Another 2-hit target combo. And then a final chargeable hit will be with his fist. Of course, he does use his fist, and you do use your fist in Savant a few times. Now if you're still a little bit confused, let me clarify this. Let's say you press triangle once, you automatically do 4 hits. So if you were not to hit your opponent, you would just be, an empty hit. You will be left open for an attack. Now this is most likely what you're going to be seeing for his heavy attack. I doubt they will miss this type of reference. let's talk about the smash attacks real quick. Now, if you see up top will be his light hold attack. Now, I could potentially see this being sort of a launcher as well, but let's just say it could be for his light hold. Now, for his heavy hold, I could definitely see this being his heavy hold attack. Very nice thrust kick, as you've seen with his fight with Okada. Now, for his guard, this is very important. I really doubt they would miss this. Now, for his guard, he will look like he'd be countering or about to disarm his opponent. Now, take a look at this move. His stomp. I called it Savant Stop because I couldn't find an official name for it. And a stomp that stuns your opponent for a few seconds within range. Now, alternately, it could push your opponent away or launch him into the air. But whatever the case may be, whatever the developers decide, this move will be used in his moveset in some capacity. Now this move, some of you may disagree with. Maestro. Maestro is the ability that Zenkichi uses throughout the manga. This is the ability to increase the potential of other people. Now that can perfectly be translated into a super move in this game. Now let's talk about this for a second. It could be a cinematic taunt that activates a buff for Zenkichi's teammates, but not Zenkichi himself. Now it could potentially be him taunting in the guard to the picture on the left or the right, and we're about to get into that picture on the right in a second. Yes, his next move, Hand Sword Style, a 2 to 3 hit counter move that when activated briefly allows Zenkichi to go Model Zenkichi, which would definitely be his awakening. And as you can see right here, it'll be extremely similar to how Naruto goes into 6 paths mode in the 6 paths mode spear move briefly. Now we've gone over most of his supers and his regular moves. Now for his ultimate, I had to be a bit more creative. I decided to go with Contradictory Conjunction, a cinematic that activates a huge debuff to your opponents while granting a huge buff to Zenkichi. However, it's under a time limit. When it disappears, it grants Zenkichi a huge debuff. That's basically for balance reasons. Now I'll most likely look on the panel on the right, he'll stand still, put a little light behind him, and then stick his tongue out and activate. Now, this particular skill was given to him by a character named Najimi, and it's basically to defeat Ihiko, one of the characters, one of the final villains, I should say, in the story. Now, let's gather all of this, all the super moves, and take a final look at it in a Jump Force format. Little recap, going from top to bottom. Savant Stomp, Maestro, Hand Sword Style, Contradictory Conjunction. Now the most optimal use for Maestro would be to use it when you're far away from your opponent, when you're across the map, and then tagging maybe like a Goku or Vegeta to do an attack, and their attack power will be higher. Hand Sword Style, a counter move, you definitely need that, especially if you have a support move to balance that out, and of course Contradictory Conjunction, very high risk, or if you want to say high risk, move that increases your power. Now, you would probably want to use Maestro and Contradictory Conjunction together for optimal move. It's time to head over to Ajimu. So what type of fighter is she? Well, she has a calm demeanor, she's elegant, and of course, she's impartial. Obviously, she's a very laid-back character, so she'll probably be laid-back, smooth, and have a very semi-aggressive playstyle. But if I had to compare this to any other fighting game character or fighting game version of that specific character I'm about to talk about, it would probably be Dante from Marvel vs. Capcom. Very similar to that. Now, as we know, Ajimu has a variety of moves that she can use in this game. However, as a way to break it down, we're going to use her most iconic moves and only the moves she showed on the panel in very creative ways. Now, I like to mention that the stance you see here in this picture, in this panel, that's most likely going to be her regular default stance, and it's going to be her blocking animation. Why? It's to give her that omnipotent feel that she needs to have in the game. Now we're about to mix it up a little bit. So instead of doing the normal attacks, I kind of want to do the special attacks first. Now here we have her first special move we're going to talk about, Doodle Dodge. Now, Doodle Dodge is one of her gun moves that allows her to dodge bullets. However, I see this move right here that she used against Zenkichi, and this will definitely be in a move in some capacity. Now, how would this work? It'll be a move that continuously phases through light and heavy attacks, but won't work against super attacks. It drains meter as it's being used. While using this move, she can move forward and back at the cost of slightly faster meter drain. Now, this definitely at first may sound broken as shit. However, it can be very useful and it perfectly represents Ajimu in the game. Now, I'm not sure if some of you have noticed, but you could pretty much have a little cannon thing going on in the game. Now, we previously talked about Zenkichi's standing heavy, which is for 4 attacks. Now, if you were to do that against her Doodle Dodge, it will almost look exactly like the panel we see here. So, I definitely see that type of reference happening in the game. Now, here we have one of her noticeable magic skills. Now, I tried my best to find a name for this, and the closest I got to it is Boat Leg. Now, Boat Leg will be a homing lightning strike attack that can be used up to 3 times. It failed the first/second time. When successful, it shows a small cinematic of your opponent getting shocked, while Ajimu taunts exactly what you would see in the panel right here. Now, why let it fail for first and second time? This is basically to add more gameplay smoothness, essentially. Now, of course, you're wondering, what is an example of it failing? Well, of course, if it's a homing attack, so a way to balance it would be to allow your opponent to block it. So it's a blockable attack. So basically, when you use it, you're going to try to catch your opponent out in the open somewhere. And of course, it can be used at any range. This will be one of Ajimu's gun skills that we can see her use in the panel. This could be a continuous alternating mid-range gunshot attack that drains meter as it's being used. While being used, she can slightly teleport left and right, of course at the cost of faster meter drain. Now, the teleporting stuff is a callback to her teleporting skills. So yes, and only left and right, but not back and forward, because that move is already taken up by another move we previously discussed earlier in the video. Now, that move being Doodle Dodge, I like to have, this is a way of balancing out. One move can loop back and forth and left and right, basically to add a very variety-like moveset to Ajimu. Now, considering the lightning attack is from any range and can use up to 3 times, of course using meter, this move being mid-range makes a little bit more sense. You can't have, now this is for balance reasons, you can't have 2 range moves. Now they could happen in the game, but basically it could be mid-range, basically to try to keep your opponent out. Now, for her ultimate move, I decided to use one of her boss skills. As you know, she's a very boss-like character, so you're going to need to give her something pretty good for her final move. Now, how could this work? Now, we can incorporate these 2 panels here into a move. Now, it could be a counter or a grab. that activates a cinematic. So what's going to happen is either you activate the counter or she grabs you. What's going to happen is she'll disappear, she'll teleport away, and you'll start to get grabbed by chains. And once you completely get grabbed by all the chains, now this happens fast. She'll appear on the chair smiling, then she'll disappear again. The chains will bring you up into the air, and then you see this monster on the right comes in and grabs you. Now that's essentially that would be your ultimate attack. I can't really see anything else. Now of course it could be goofy and she could drive you over with a jeep, but I think this one would be a pretty good one. Now as for the name Cold Game is basically whatever boss move names that pretty much means to end the game, so I think that'd be a pretty good name for ultimate attack. Now we're not exactly done with her skills just yet. We still have one of her mental skills that can be incorporated into a normal grab. Now I decided to call this one Super Whisperer because that description fits the panel on the right the best. Now how could this work? How would the animation of this standard grab work? Well, basically she'll come at you as if she's trying to hug you, and then a second later she grabs you tightly and squeezes you, basically exactly how the right panel will look, and damages you as you fall to the ground. Now it's time for us to take a little final look at the super moves we recently talked about, going from top to bottom. Doodle Dodge, Magic Skill, Bolt Leg, Gun Skill, Moving Shot, Boss Skill, Cold Game. Now, it would look something like this, or it could look completely different, but I think I've gotten close enough to the fact that the developers were to put Ajimu in the game, they would use at least 2 out of the 4 moves here into a real Jump Force moveset. So I'm fairly confident you might be seeing these moves in game. Now she still has a few more skills left, her martial arts and her sword skills. Now I think for the light attack, her martial arts skills would definitely do the justice. Now I call it Mistaker because Mistaker in the Madaka Box lore is Precision Strike, and a Precision Strike looks very much like the panel on the left. That's what I decided to go with. How would this work? 1 press 2 hit target combo, probably with the right arm, then press it again with alternating hits with the right and left arm. Then the final square will be the final drop attack, similar to how you can see in the panel on the right, how she drops on Madaka. Now I can see the panel on the right also being her light smash attack as well, so that could be her smash and her Mistaker combo ender and her light smash attack, and I think something like that flows very well. Now it's time for us to go to her final attack string, her double blade combo attack. Now very similar to how I decided the other names in the Madaka Box lore, that means some kind of sword strike attack. Now as you can see, this little Zoro play right here, that's very similar to how I imagined this would be, but a little bit different. You can see it goes for a rapid slash, a 2-hit target combo, so she hits once and that's 2 slashes, then another that's 4 slashes, then press again, and then she has a chargeable slash attack, and then it will basically the end result will be the panel on the left. Now, who do you prefer based off what I showed you, Zenkichi or Ajimu? Personally, I think Ajimu has a better chance, and much more interesting of the two. And Madaka and Kumagawa will be making a return. I think they're a no-brainer. I think they're definitely going to make it in. They represent Modern Jump pretty well. Also tell me what eligible character for Jump Force you'd like to see me do next in a potential moveset. I may see it, I may agree with it, because I only like doing interesting characters that people have a tough time deciding for. What might be their moveset, like the Madaka Box characters we've done here today. So, let me know. I'm not guaranteeing that I do it though. So, until the next confirmation though, see ya.